All right, let's see who comes into chat. Once you guys get in here, if you are hanging out, just give me a quick hey in the chat. I'm gonna go in here. This should be fun. I don't need this open right now or that. Yes, I can save my settings. Cool. See if anyone shows up. If not, I'll just do kind of a quick tutorial by myself. But this looks pretty interesting. Let me switch into Redshift. Oh, looks like YouTube might still be connecting. Joined instantly. Awesome. Thanks, Thomas. That's weird that it tells me that YouTube is still connecting, but you just came through on YouTube, so that's fine. Restream is having its struggles, I guess. Yeah, the new custom AOVs are pretty sweet. I have like one small complaint, but there's a way around it, so that's okay. I'll talk about that in a second. Oh, that works. I've only played with it for like 10 minutes since it just updated earlier in the middle of the night, but it seemed pretty straightforward to figure out. So I'm going to just set up some simple primitives and get going from there. Just realized my speakers are off, so I can't hear when notifications come through for chat. Let's turn those on. I think that's good. All right. Just give it another minute, see if anyone joins, and then if not, no worries. I'll just start setting up some primitives. In the meantime, set up a cube, and we can do a torus, I guess, and maybe like a tube like that. Just kind of shrink it down. Let's see, we'll do like 50. Increase that height a bit, and a radius we don't really need. Cool, good enough. Multipass? I need to watch that. I haven't watched it in a long enough time. It's probably been like 2 or 3 years. Yeah, pretty much multipass. AOVs. So just how to get started with the new workflow. I haven't covered it yet. I haven't covered AOVs at all, really, just kind of like here and there with simple little things. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to show. Do you have any scene optimization tutorials? Like little? Yeah, I need to do that too. I definitely need to do a scene optimization tutorial. I can talk about that a little bit as well after this. I plan on streaming for about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many people show up and ask questions. But yeah, Thomas, once we get through just the AOV part, I can kind of walk through some sampling and optimization stuff. Let me pull in a dome light and just something on there. Turn off these takes because they're annoying. And let's see, HDRI link. Let's do something like that. Good enough. Cool. All right, that should be good enough to get going. I'll turn off the background. All right, so it's just processing the background texture. I'll load it up. What's up, Fred? From Kenya. That's awesome. AOVs are multipass. Yeah, they are one and the same. Multipass just means multiple passes, and AOV is arbitrary object variable, I believe, or output. Sorry, not object output variable, meaning multipass. So you can see in here there I've got multipass checked, and then over here I'll turn on AOVs in a second. So that's awesome that you're watching from Kenya, Fred. All right, so let's talk about AOVs for a second. So I just said AOVs are arbitrary output variable. That means is multipass. If you go into your render settings, as long as you have Redshift selected, AOV, drop down and hit enable, you'll start to get these. Now, looking at this, you'll think it doesn't do anything because it really doesn't. I'm in just progressive rendering at the moment, not bucket rendering. So if I go here, it just says beauty. It's just going to show me the scene. If I do my bucket rendering with these cubes right here, and also pay attention, I'm using the render view, not just the IPR, but this is the actual render view. You'll see that we get these different AOVs. So we've got diffuse lighting, which you'll see it changed a little bit. This is beauty pass. This is just diffuse. Here's GI for global illumination. Algeria, man, awesome. Getting worldly. Yeah, I'll talk about the object ID too. That's like my one complaint about AOVs and multipass at the moment is it's there, but it's not really there. Sorry, my watch keeps buzzing. I should have turned off notifications. So anyway, going through, we've got GI and then reflections, which I don't have a material on here, but if I were to throw a material, we'll just call this one cube. And we'll place it on the cube. You'll see the little bits of reflection that are in that material now show up here in our AOV multipass. This is the cube right there and what's reflecting on the cube. So object ID is the one complaint that I have, and a lot of people who have switched from Octane to Redshift, has been a recurring complaint. But to show you what I mean by that is you can't really see all the objects if you give them all a unique ID. There's a few ways around that. The new custom AOV setup really helps with that, but I'm going to select all these objects and just show you, and go to the drop down, add an object tag, and each one of these now has a tag. And for the cube, if I go into object ID and check that, we'll just leave it at 0. If I go into this one, we'll turn the torus to 1, and then the tube we will turn to 2. And I'm going to go back in my render settings and go to our AOVs and just do a quick select AOV type, and you can do object ID. There's also this new Aov Manager, which is way more intuitive, but it's the same thing, and you can get to it either in your render settings, or it's actually up in Redshift now too. This Aov Manager, I just don't have it locked down here, I don't believe. It's been a while since I updated this bar, yeah. So instead of having to go into your render settings, you can just do it from the Aov Manager too and add in whatever you need. You just click on these and drag them over. So now that we've got that object ID, as long as this is refreshed, you'll see, yeah, so you'll see right here it says object ID 0. And all we're going to get for a matte is just the 0. And it kind of does that no matter what. So if I bring up the Redshift Manager or Aov Manager again, and I go into object ID, and instead of just having ID in there, and I put, say, 1, and I'll hit refresh, it doesn't do anything. And my understanding, and I haven't tested it and we can do it right now, is that if you leave it as ID, when you do like a deep EXR export, it should export each one to its own layer. I haven't ever had that happen before, so I'm not 100% certain that it will, but you know, let's give it a whirl. I'll just save this out really quickly. And then I'll talk about how to get over that hurdle as well. I don't have this saved anywhere, so just really quickly, AOV test. Gonna be project, that's fine. All right, so we're just gonna send this to our picture viewer and let it render really quickly and see if we can get multiple object IDs. And the way we're gonna view that is I'm just gonna open it up in Photoshop, and it should be in there as multiple layers, hopefully. Fingers on the wrong spot, Photoshop. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the AOVs and see what it spit out, and that's fine. I don't even use that. We're going to see what it spit out and if it's actually working now, which I don't think it's going to. So like if you look right here, it just says object ID 0, and this will be our actual deep AOV. So I'm going to open that. Just let it be transparency. So what should really be happening is there should be a bunch of layers, like you were saying, in Octane that represent all those. And it should also kick out one for each AOV if it's going to split it out into separate files. But right here, you can see that it just does the one cube. So even with the custom AOV update, there's still something going on with that. I'm not sure why it isn't like the way Octane is or Arnold. Arnold's the same way. You set an object ID, and then when you export it, it does it. So how do we get around that? Well, the new custom AOVs really help, or there's the old school way of using a puzzle mat. So the old school way is if we go back into our AOV Manager and we go down to puzzle mat right here, drag that over. What you can do is set an ID for either material or object. We're going to use our object ID for each color. So red, we'll keep it 0, green will be 1, and blue will be 2. So that means the cube will be red, the torus will be green, and the tube will be blue. Now that's pretty inhibiting because it only gives you 3 options. So that kind of sucks. So it is what it is, but it does work. So if we come in here and do puzzle mat, you can see we've got with RGB turned on, the cube turns black, our torus goes green, and that goes blue. If I go to red, blue, green, all those, you get exactly that. Hey Kira, what's up? So that's kind of the old school way to do it. I'm not really sure why it's not doing a single pass for red at the moment. It should be. I'll just go into, oh boy, go into my Redshift manager. Object ID should be 0. You know what? I'm just gonna make this 10 and change the cube to 10, and hopefully that'll switch it up. Should be red. Maybe just, there it is. So maybe it doesn't pick up if it's 0. I thought it did. So yeah, that's literally the only problem I've been having too. So they kind of have fixed it, and like they have and they haven't. So with custom AOVs, and I'll show you that right now. So it's going to be in the materials. So what we're going to do is in this cube, I'm going to go into our shader graph. Yeah, Grant, it's definitely inhibiting. So thanks for stopping by, Grant, too. I didn't even know you were in the chat. So if I go in and type custom or type AOV, we get all these things over here. So you can store color to AOV, integer, scalar. We're just going to do color. We're going to keep it really simple. And so what's going to happen is we're going to take the out color and plug it into diffuse color. And it actually doesn't seem to have that big of an effect on it. Like it just shows it in the viewport, but it doesn't really affect the render view. So if I go into beauty, you'll see it's still white. It still holds this original diffuse color, which is kind of weird to me. So if I change this to pink, and then when it goes to beauty, it doesn't actually output the pink. So that's a little bit weird. And then under AOV, if I do that too, let's say I want purple, it updates in the viewport, but not here too. So maybe there's a different workflow that I haven't figured out yet. And, it could be as simple as coming here and going through the drop downs, just looking at advanced, general. I don't know what their plan is for this exactly, because it really doesn't help when you want to have a custom diffuse here with nodes. But if you want to do custom AOVs and output different objects, it helps a lot. The other thing that I thought about is maybe you can just pipe it into output and do like viewport or whatever. And then it shows up as pink in there. I don't believe it shows up as a custom AOV though. So we're going to try two different ways, but I've gotten it to work like this. So this is on the cube. We can go into this AOV name 0, add a new custom AOV, or you can actually tack it on to something else. So I'm going to do add new custom AOV, and we'll call it cube. And what happens is we get it in this dropdown now. And so when you export, it'll actually export a custom AOV for you. But as you can see, since I have it piped into the viewport, it's not actually doing anything. Let me go down to alpha and see. So even though I have cube, or it only on the cube, it is outputting the alpha for everything, which it shouldn't be. So that's why you have to put it into the actual material. So now when I go back to RGB, you'll see our cube is pink and we get that custom matte. And then if I were to render it out again, oh, you know what? I need to turn it on as an actual save file. Being slow because I'm rendering and streaming. All right, come on. There we go. So under file output, just need to make sure that's enabled, and then multipass is enabled as well. Good and good. So we'll double check this. I'm gonna close this down, close that down. All right, so in here there should be an additional layer, and it doesn't do it. See, that's why I always do individual AOV files. So I'm gonna render it again, and it will be output as its own EXR file. Just one of those weird things. Looks like it's now doing that thing where it's rendering to render view and picture viewer again, which they had cleared up before. All right, so let's go back, close this. If I go to open, yes. So you'll see we now have a cube EXR and our regular EXR. So if I open this up, it's just going to be our cube right there. And you can use that as a matte. And then if I open up a regular EXR, has it not overwritten yet? There we go. We can just bring this in here. Like so, put it underneath. Just wanted to unlock you. There we go. So now we get that. And, if you do it like the way you're supposed to do it, you don't have to select all this. It will just be an alpha. But then this is how you start making mattes and stuff. And my alignment's not perfect because I just pulled it in from the other file. But you would just place it, or if you're working in Nuke or Fusion or After Effects, it would be lined up anyway. So that's pretty much it. So now you can do that with every shape if you wanted to. So if I hop back in Cinema and you can make a material for torus. And I'll throw that on there. If I were to render it right now, you'll see it's going to update and it's going to have pink on the cube and the torus, but I can go and that's actually what I wanted. Go to this drop down, make a new custom AOV, call it torus. We can change the color to blue. So now you can see the cube is just going to be pink. If we go down to torus, it's blue. And if we did it for tube, it would do the same thing. So I can just do a quick copy and paste, call this tube. See who is messaging me, in case it's my wife. Nope, someone else. And we're going to do the same thing. Go in here. We can name it whatever you want. So we'll just name it like Billy Bob. And then Billy Bob is going to be like a green. And then if I select Billy Bob right here, now just the tube is green. So when you export it, you have all those mats available to you. Now, like I said, it's not perfect yet, and maybe I just need to go through it some more. You know, it may just be worth playing with like user-defined layer names. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's something that I need to do in here for, oh, I guess I didn't check multi-part AOV. I guess that's worth trying. Hold on. Deep, show me what you got. We'll do that. All right, try this again, because I didn't realize I hadn't turned that on. Yes, I want to render again. Oh, that's gonna bother me that it renders to both the picture viewer and the render view now. It's just annoying. Taking up resources that doesn't need to take up. All right, let's see if it actually made a deep AOV correctly. No, AOV test is where I did it, right? Did I save it somewhere else? I did it really fast. AOV test deep AOV multipass compatibility. It should be right here. And it's not. Let's open this. Let's just see what happens. Update. See if it's in the channels. Nope. No, I don't want to save those changes. Object ID, I'll just check to see. Nope. So yeah, like what's it doing when it's saving out what's supposed to be this deep AOV, you know? Is it because I don't have EXR at the end? Thanks, Kira. I mean, yeah, definitely like if you're watching, if and you are liking it, but if not, you know, you don't have to feel like you have to like it. After my last real tutorial that came out that was like 10 dislikes and 8 likes, you know, I can take it. It's cool. Oh, my daughter's coming. What's up, Kaylin?
I need a picture for you.
Thank you. Can I keep it? Thank you.
It's the pumpkin patch.
Oh, it is the pumpkin patch. I see. Thank you very much.
And it has a rainbow mouth.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, I'll keep it right here. I'll hang it up in a little bit, okay? Thank you. Let's see. So Man, still nothing when I render it out, even with adding EXR at the end. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's ever messed with this and knows why. Thanks, Kira. Yeah, she made me a picture. I don't know if this is gonna show up or not. I don't have my. Yeah, she made me a pumpkin patch picture. Let's see. I got. I'll just change it to float, full, whatever. No, I'm gonna leave that default. Scan line is right. Multipass compatibility. All right. When I hit save, maybe I just need to save my file because sometimes things are stupid like that. All right, let's try this again. It's not rendering in the render view this time, which is weird. All right. And Thomas, you were asking about optimization. You can definitely tell right now that my scene isn't optimized because I have 3 objects with nothing going on and it's taking 26 seconds. It should be a lot faster than that. So yeah, sometimes that happens. All right. AOV test EXR. Interesting. Maybe it's because it was untitled before. Well, let's just try it out. I'll do as an alpha channel instead of transparency channels. Yeah, that's stupid. So good thing is the new custom AOVs actually work. You can output these as individual files and do what you need to do. Bad news is it's not doing multipass output or deep EXRs. Enable deep output. Do you really have to turn that on now? Man, I'm feeling embarrassed now that I haven't looked through all these. I really thought you just had to turn it on top before. Like, I'm 90% certain this is a new checkbox down here, and you've always had to just say enable at the top. All right, let's try that. Deep merge mode too. That's new. All right, let's see. I know everyone that's watching is like worldly and all over the place. Hey Chris, how are you, man? Is anyone going to NAB next year or like planning on going to conferences anywhere in the world or any conferences internationally I should think about going? Yeah, man, we should not have to render individually. It should definitely be just mark your objects and it outputs them. See, this is not a deep AOV. All right. I'm going to go in multipass and try one more thing. Maybe not name it the project name because maybe that's what's happening is overwriting. Deep. We'll try that. So what should happen is it outputs one as deep and one as NAB. Or NAB, I just was reading NAB on the screen as the normal name. So you're going to NAB and CGraph and half res again. Yeah, I definitely want to go to half res again. The price is right. It's not very expensive. What was it, $15 this year? You just have to pay for your flight and where you're staying. NAB, I've never been, so that's my goal this year to go. I went to Blend Fest in Vancouver last year, so I just couldn't swing both because they were right around the same time. And CGraph, I definitely want to go to as well. But I think I just hit Browse Assets instead. Yeah, I hit Browse in Bridge. See, so it's not even doing deep. Like, where is it saving the file if it's not? Okay. Renders project deep. Okay, so it's putting it ... renders. Am I just missing a renders folder? Is that what's going on? Close bridge. I don't want bridge open. This whole time, is it just been going? So renders would be back in here. Oh man. Okay, so hold on. Maybe I need to restart this a little bit and see what's happening. So here's deep channels. All right, that's not right. It should be multi-layered. Let's open this one. Multi-layered. No, not multi-layered. But I know where it's saving them now, so that's good. I have not found a good workaround, Chris. I've found like a little bit of a workaround, but it's not actually random. So it's fake. All right, so there should be one AOV test deep AOV. Okay. So AOV test. There's no deep AOV. Okay. And there wasn't one in renders. Multi-part EXR. But, we're figuring this out together, guys. I know, Chris, I know. It's also, we were talking about in the beginning of the stream that with the custom AOVs, they still haven't really fixed the ID stuff going on. Deep merge mode Z, deep merge mode object ID. What does that do? We'll try that too. We'll just try everything and see if we can get it to work. I don't want to apply processing or anything. That seems fine. All right. I'm just going to turn these on to make sure they're outputting at least GI, so I have something else to gauge on. Straight alpha. Good. Okay. Project deep. User defined layer name. Maybe that will work. Maybe not. I'm going to change this to 32 just to be safe. Try it again. Hey, HP. Or I guess I should call you Brian. An AOV is an arbitrary output variable, so it's a multipass. So like over here we've got a beauty pass and a pass that I named Billy Bob and one that I named Cube, and that relates to Cube, and Taurus for Taurus. So I guess Billy Bob is the tube. GI for global illumination, things like that. So Redshift announced new fully fledged custom AOVs. Trying to get it to work. Doesn't want to work with me. At least upon output, it's not working. It seems to be working inside the program. I just may be doing something wrong too. So here's AOV test. I'm just going to do it as transparency. That's fine. You know what? While we're messing with this off to the side, I'm just going to download Fusion because I don't think I have it installed at the moment. And we will do that. Need black magic. But Brian, I'll show you in a second what an actual AOV is. Fusion 9, Windows. Why do I have to fill this out again? Autofill should work. Cool. There we go. Download. Maybe it's just that Photoshop can't read it for some reason. That's why I'm downloading Fusion off to the side right now. But Brian, an AOV is, if we go in here and I go to beauty, so beauty pass is just a normal render, what it looks like. AOV would be like, here's diffuse. It only has the diffuse lighting. GI Yeah, Chris, you know, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I have my own issues with Panos, um, but I I don't know how to respond to that. It's like it's production ready, but it's not. You know, like when I do stuff in Houdini, it seems to work the way it's supposed to. When I do stuff in Redshift, it works 99.9% of the time the way it should, but it just doesn't output files the way that you expect. So I don't know what's up with that. But then there's things in Cinema 4D that thanks. Um, I try to teach some good design concepts, I guess. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's very young. It has a lot of potential. It's just like why doesn't it just do it the way that you expect it to do it? You know, like I'm gonna go back in here. I just realized I didn't check the other folder when I opened this. Transparency is fine. See, nothing. So if it was actually a deep AOV, it would actually say layer names and channels and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's fast and it's cool, and like I like that there's I'm 31, so I guess I'm kind of young, but yeah, I mean for Redshift it's definitely young, it has a lot of potential, and it's fast for final output totally, and being able to send it out to render farms if they haven't gotten shut down is good compared to Octane. But you know, things like this, it's just irritating. Like I know I can open Octane or Cycles or Arnold right now and set up my AOVs and get them to render out. I just know it. Now I'm gonna uncheck this and just see if it will do it again. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. Not being able to see motion blur kind of sucks. I understand why it is, because it technically has to account for the frame before it and what the frame before it looked like. And then bake dynamics, I don't really mind because I kind of just do that as a good practice anyway in case I'm going to upload to a farm. But yes, I agree too that you know you should have the option to not have to bake it if you don't want to. All right, let me see. Fusion should be done. It should have been done a while ago. I just install this really quickly. Downloads. Where did you go, Fusion? Doot. Fusion. There we go. Nope, that's the wrong Fusion. That's Fusion 360. I wanted Fusion. Okay. Not that. There we go. All right, yes, agree. The AI denoiser does look really awesome. You know, once I'm going to give this another 5 minutes once Blackmagic Fusion's installed and see if I can get the AOVs to work in there. But yeah, the denoiser should be awesome. I mean, I can get pretty clean renders already, like much cleaner and faster than I can with Octane. But the denoiser would be really cool. All right, so Fusion's installed. Let's see. Let's see if it will do it. I bet it's not gonna do it because it doesn't like me. I almost wonder if like this multipass compatibility thing is screwing it up. Like, I don't think I should have to do any crazy stuff in here. But maybe that's screwing with it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and import footage, desktop, renders, AOV deep. So if you guys have never seen this, this is Blackmagic Fusion. It's compositing software, much like Nuke, but it's free, except for like a giant studio version, but that's only, man, $199 or something. It's pretty cheap. Sorry, my text is so small. I clearly have it in like compatibility mode and I'm screaming at 4K. Yeah, better volumetrics and SSS. Yeah, well, I mean, Arnold's always pretty. I feel like I can do anything in Arnold and it just looks good. All right, so channels, here we go. Let's go through. So, oh man, so it is, look at this. So it says it is in here. Interesting. So I've got my background blue, green, red, which is right. Billy Bob is in here. Let's do Billy Bob blue. If I turn these off, I'm gonna turn all these off. I should actually just be able to go into blue, change it to Billy Bob blue, maybe Billy Bob green. There we go. Red. Ha. Interesting. So blue. Yeah. So it is baking it out. It's just not baking it the way that one would expect. Maybe I just need to download the EXR plugin for Photoshop so it reads correctly, because interesting. All right, let's try this in After Effects. Because if it's working in Fusion, it should work in After Effects. So it looks like it is exporting a deep file the way that you expect. Object ID is still just a 0, so that's not how we expect. Whatever. Okay. I don't want to be doing anything with this. I said no. All right. Give me the new thing. Thank you. All right, let's bring in this deep EXR. Just a heads up, if you guys don't know, and I don't think they're streaming right now, but Brograph has been streaming with deadmau5 since Thursday. Excuse me, my voice just cut out. Thursday. You should check them out on Twitch. They're doing a bunch of cube stuff for them, or for deadmau5, and it's pretty awesome. It's Matt, Dave, and Octane Jesus, David Ariev. Just some cool stuff that they're working on. Click for dialogue. I am clicking for dialogue. Click. I am. Give me my dialogue. Well, maybe. Come on. I want the dialogue. Well, so it works in Fusion. It's not quite working here. Oh, there it is. All right, so layers. Cool. Finally popped up. It's probably just streaming. So it looks like we can get all of this stuff in After Effects, which is what we want. We just aren't getting the other stuff, like the object ID. But let's go ahead and do this. So there's Billy Bob, which is our tube. And then in here, if we look, Billy Bob is our tube. So that's great for compositing in Fusion and After Effects. It's not working in Photoshop. Yeah. You know, I just want all of them to merge together. So like, you're right. Volumetrics looks great in Octane, but it's so fast in Redshift. But I can't seem to get like voxelization under control in Redshift the way that you would expect. Arnold, I can always get stuff however I want because I played with it for so long after coming off Octane. Subsurface scattering for sure, especially like the new stuff with X Particles 4. Just I want to be able to output an open VDB and bring it in and put some subsurface scattering on it and work, but it's like the normals are backwards and all that stuff. So know what I'm doing wrong for X Particles for open VDB, because that would be very helpful. But Thomas, if you're still watching, give me like a hey or thumbs up in the chat, and then I will walk through some render settings for you. I'm going to turn this off. I shouldn't have taken out my light. Turn that back. Actually, I'll leave my lights out too. Arnold GPU does look like it could be really good. I'm a little shocked they haven't released any more information on it. Actually, I have X Particles right here. And then Explosia. And I just need an object. Cool, Thomas. All right. So Chris is going to tell me something really quick about how to fix exporting my VDBs. Adding a black color bar to the beginning of the gradient. Really? So like the texture itself, or when you're exporting? Let me here, I'll just bring in a volume. How about that? I should still have it from here, cache, XP cache, live stream. Yep, there we go. No, that's okay. Get rid of the sphere. And volume object or material, throw that on here. All right, this should be density. And what's the other one? Heat. Yeah, heat. Export's fine. It's the volume. Okay. I'm going to just do simple detect frames. I can jump ahead a little bit. There we go. All right. So are you saying down in like the heat emission? I know I don't have that ramped right. Get the fuel color. Copy. And now that I see that, I need to change this from heat to fuel. Fuel. Paste. All right. So, Chris, add a fire gradient preset to heat, then add black color bar at the beginning. Okay. I will do that right here. Drop it down right there, and we'll make you black. Oh, snap. No way. So it has to have a nothing to start from. That's cool. All right, sweet. Interesting. Thanks so much, Chris. I definitely would not have figured that out. Hell yeah. So, yes. Ha ha ha. Aha, let there be light. We did it. By we, I mean Chris. That's awesome. Says you're in slow-mo. That should be something on your chat. Maybe, hold on. I'll go to YouTube. Doot. My channel. Creator Studio. Oh man, the like Restream is not good at relabeling details on here. I can see it's like saying how to get from standard to physical or standard to Redshift, which is not what this stream is about. How to get from standard to Redshift. No, this is about how to use custom AOVs. Man, Restream failing me, man. What do I pay you for? Hey, Mark. What's up, dude? All right. Slow mode. All right. Yeah, there's slow mode. I will turn that off. Sorry, Chris. I didn't realize that was a thing. Cool. All right. Back to normal. Should be back to normal. All right. Cool. I always thought I was on the viewer mode end too, but I just turned it off. So hopefully you guys can chat faster if you want to. All right, Chris, thanks so much for showing me that. I'm sure it just takes some more tweaking on getting some of this looking much nicer, but holy crap, that's awesome. Way better. Like super duper. You guys want to hear a bad Mario joke? What kind of pants does Mario wear? Denim. All right, that's it. So Thomas, I'm sorry that we just went through that whole shebang. I'm going to show you how to optimize the scene now, I promise. So close all, don't save. Doot. All right, so optimization. So my attributes would come down here and stop screwing around. Let me close some of this other crap that we've got open. Close. Nope, don't save that. That's for truth, don't save that. Cool. All right. Let's start from the beginning and we'll turn this crap off. I don't need to save anything. Under basic, let's reset all to default. I wish I could just reset all of them. How about new? Will that give me fresh settings in Redshift? Yes. All right. So we're going to use these settings. All right. So when you first open up Redshift, it's going to have progressive rendering set at something obnoxiously high, like 1024. You can put that like 64. And you always want to use multiples of 2. So like 2, 4, or you want to double the last thing. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Think of it like RAM in your computer or like an SSD drive. You just want to have it set to multiples like that because Redshift just runs better. I know in Octane you can go crazy like 51095 for passes and it doesn't really matter. Octane, Redshift, it just makes sense to do it that way. Under unified sampling, this is your bucket rendering and your final renders. So we're not going to touch that to begin. And it's going to be super fast, but it's going to be grainy. So let's bring in something fun to look at. I always like to use my cool little Iron Giant thing that I got off of Sketchfab. Let's see, 3D models. I think he's under tech, maybe. I tried to organize this and now I can't find anything. Yep, Iron Giant OBJ, don't need a material. Cool. We will go in. If you hit H on the keyboard, that means home, and it will go in to this. And we'll just delete that. I'm gonna optimize this, get rid of the extra points. Right click, did not want to work. All right, so optimize, get rid of those points. So here we go. We've got Mr. Iron Giant. You can see is already lit. That is because Redshift uses the Cinema 4D light. It's under integration, and then turn off default light. If we go in here, it disappears. So I'm going to bring in an area light to show you sampling and how it works and how to make it faster and optimize. All right. Just need to make sure I'm on model mode. I'm going to kind of scale this down, bring it in, do something like that. I need to bring it back a bit. I went too far. All right. So there's our guy. And, you know, he looks pretty good for this. Looks okay. He's a little bit grainy in there, and that's because we're on just the IPR setting, and my daughter's coming in. What's up, Caleb?
Do you know where any envelopes are?
That is definitely a question for Mommy.
I asked her, and she just said, hold on for, like, a long time, because I don't know when she's coming out of her room.
She's still trying to get Finn to sleep. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, I don't know where the envelopes are. If anything, they're by the sink. Did you check by the sink? All right, get your stool and look by the sink. Usually where all the mail is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait, what sink?
The kitchen sink.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, daughter, asking me questions again. So kind of grainy. I'm going to turn on bucket rendering, and you'll see it renders and it's super grainy. And so that's not what we want at all. I'm going to throw a material on here just to kind of show something that looks a little bit more true to a render. And we'll just do iron for Iron Giant. Boom. All right, so grainy as hell. That sucks. So there's two ways to go about it. You can go into your render settings and just start cranking things up. So, you know, if I were to do our max to 512, right, 256, 512, yeah, 512 would be it. And then I come back here and hit reload. You'll see it cleans it up. Cool, that's a clean render, but we can definitely make it faster. So I'm going to go back and reset this to default at 16. And in your lights, over here I have my attributes panel. You've got general, ray, volume, blah, 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 blah. All right, we're going to focus on general. And I'm going to just set it to temperature. I kind of like how a temperature looks better. And as we come down, you'll see at the very bottom we have samples. IPR is not still on. It's in buckets. Maybe it's just delayed. Down at the very bottom, we have samples, and it's only at 16. And if you want to get really good at optimizing your scene, you'll focus on either lights and optimizing them by adding more samples just to your lights, or by adding samples to your materials. So I'm going to go ahead and double the lighting sample to 32. And you'll see it renders really fast, and our samples already get better. And then, yeah, I know it's kind of small on the screen because I have it set up this way. All right, Caitlin, you're going to have to ask Mommy. You're going to have to wait. I'm sorry. So from 32, go to 64. And you can see it's really starting to clean up. Try 256, jump all the way up to that. And now we're getting pretty clean. There's a little bit of noise in there, but not too much. It's true that the max should be the min times 32. Yeah, there was I got an image floating around about like diminishing returns and how much you can set it at. I don't know about that. I've tried using those settings, and sometimes it seems like it works really well, and other times it seems like, man, this is slow as hell. I can optimize it way better. I think that's like a good baseline. Like, you know, the min times 32. So, what is 4 times 32? 64, 128. So if I did 128 in here, that wouldn't clean it up as much, because if I set this back down to 16, you'll see we kind of get the same results as we were getting. It's just kind of noisy in here. Girl's life when your father's a streamer. No, she's actually just not taking a nap today because she's 5.5 and refuses to take naps anymore, even though she really needs one. So she's just getting to that point in the afternoon of creativity striking and needing everyone's attention and not accepting no. Oh, she's back. Yeah, you can do that. All right, so like I was saying, if those settings were right for the min times 32 for max, then we would get a clean image, or I mean, you would have to up it, of course, so you could have like your min at 8 and then go to 256. But you can get way better optimization by doing it yourself. So we can go back down to 16 here. Yeah, so you should. So I forget which one did it, but one of the guys from Axis Bonza, also known as Antagma on Vimeo, they do a bunch of Houdini tutorials. They did a lighting one and optimization one for Redshift, and it goes over this pretty well. And I did one too, but I didn't go over it in detail like this. But basically, you can keep all these samples at the bare minimum as long as you get your lighting and materials under control, and then it makes it that much faster. Yeah, those are really huge numbers. Like mine are usually like 8 and 64, or like 4 and 64, maybe like 8 and 128. I never really go that high. So like I was just showing, if we go back to 512 here, that's the only thing it has to optimize for, and it makes it pretty dang clean. You can see over here, it's kind of noisy. And if we use this circle here, you'll see samples. And I'll turn that on. And it shows all the areas that could use more samples. And then once you get into global illumination, it changes it a little bit too. But let's do 1024 right here, and you'll see the closer we get to gray value means the cleaner it is in those areas. Like you want to have high contrast between white and black. And let me just re-render this again. So you see it's, oh, I don't have bucket on. There we go. See, it's getting nice and cleaned up in here. And it's really fast. That was 2 seconds. While before I had it cranked up on the other scenes with like no optimization on anything, and it was just default lighting, and it was taking like 30 seconds for a cube and a sphere and like a what else did I have? A torus. So really optimizing your lights and your materials can definitely help. If I come in here and base properties, you'll see the reflection samples are 256. If I turn this down to 16, you'll see we get some of the graininess back. So in here, we get all this noise again, but in here, it's looking pretty good. So if I were dissecting this and setting this up to 1024, which in my opinion is too high, it should be like 256. And then coming into the material, I would start dissecting. All right, let's try and up these samples because that's way too low. I'll add 256. And you'll see it cleans up really nicely and keeps the render time really low, only 2 seconds. If I go up to 512, you can see that really smooths it out. I could probably even go like 1024 on this. Get it even cleaner just a little bit, especially like these like little accent areas there. And then now that that's cleaned up, you can come into the samples here and go down to 128. And we'll see it gets a little bit noisy again in this area. So, 256 is probably about right. So the next thing that you have to think about is global illumination. I don't have any turned on right now. So if I turn on brute force and then turn on, you can either do pure brute force or irradiance point cloud. Most people say this is the way you should go. I'm not completely sold on it. But you'll see in here, we get more bounces and things that we have to think about. So I've turned that on. It's going to do its thing. And you'll see it's pretty good, but it's actually introduced a little bit of noise in this area here. Let me go full screen for you guys. You can see in here, there's some noise in here from introducing global illumination. So I'm going to Control Tab should get me out of it, right? No, it's not. Doesn't want to. There we go. And you'll see the global illumination's actually added some time into it. It's a 7-second render now. So we'll crank this up to like 64 and it will clean up our scene. But a lot of it is going back and forth. A lot of it is thinking back from like standard and physical render days, most, I guess, standard days. Like, do I really need global illumination for this? As you can see, it's still a little bit noisy. So if I turn on samples, like all these areas in here are just not getting enough light. So I'll add in another light, just lock this down. And we'll rotate this around, move this back some, up a bit. There we go. All right, so you're gonna see the samples render again. You'll see in these areas, now we're starting to get these grays, and meaning that we're getting some better sampling going on. If I turn off our samples and it renders again, it'll be more cleaned up. Yeah, you want more gray or like more contrast. Even like sometimes it'll go as dark as black, or at least it used to. But yeah, you want to keep it like in the gray region. You can see in here now too, like, come on, why is Control Tab not working? All right, there we go. You can see in here, a lot of this is cleaned up now. And then if I come out of this and I go into maybe our material sampling, that's already at 1024. So this is that point of, all right, I've got what, 1024 on my material. I've got 256 on these lights. I can go up to 512, I guess, and try that out. See what our time is. Man, point cloud is really what adds time. It seems like, I know people are against doing pure brute force, but man, it just, like, point cloud is, for whatever reason, just a bummer to me. I really like using pure brute force. So, we still got some noise in there. This is when you can start to think, okay, I still have some noise. I've cranked up my samples and my lights and my materials. Let's go ahead and just make this 32 now. So we've done that. We're going to render again. And it's starting to clean up. Let's go ahead and go full screen. So right in here, these areas are still kind of dirty. It's doing its thing. Looks like it may clean it up. It's cleaning up pretty good. So with that, it was just setting the samples as best as we could. And then once you get to a certain point, checking it. And then now we actually turned up our unified sampling. And because we turned it up, we may even be able to optimize better now. Let's see what this is going to come in at. So that was 39 seconds. I bet we can get it down even lower. So I bet we can set this to like 128 now. And maybe this will be 256. And even in here, we'll do 512. Try and optimize this a bit more. And you can see how fast it's going now. So it's going a lot faster. We're getting it a good bit cleaner, especially like these sides here. It's still a little bit noisy. Is there a way I can quickly show you this render I was working on? It's like no matter what, I still get noise. I mean, you can, yeah, you can upload it to Imager and then put the link in the chat. Or you could just send me the file if you want. Yeah, I can do more time or another render. Like this is now down to 25 seconds and it was at 32 or 35. But yeah, let me open up one of my older files with this guy. Advanced materials. Kids are fighting over a computer right now, if you hear any screaming in the background. All right, so if you look at this, it's trying to pull in some like unlinked stuff now. Let me relink some of this stuff. Asset Manager. I don't know why it's called ceramic. It's not really doing ceramic. All right, edit. Should be in the scratch kit. So 3D textures, TFM, scratch. Had to remove the URL part. I'm not. Did you try and link to it, Thomas? It's not. Why isn't it relinking all of these? Come on. Oh, I see. Yeah, you can email it to me. That's fine. Let me bring that open. I just gotta process the texture every time I relink it. That's just annoying. Okay. You not let me? No, you won't let me. All right. Free link. These are both 11, right? Yep, there we go. No, it says you sent me a message. I just got it. Cool. I mean, I'm looking at it. It doesn't look that noisy. Where are you finding noise? I guess there's maybe a little bit there. I mean, general looks pretty good, man. Yeah, well, true. I guess it depends on what your settings are for this too. So I'm saying it looks good, but you may be using like absurd settings. All right, now that I've got this all relinked, I can show some more of the optimization. Sorry, I moved my textures into a new spot, so I lost my links. Just processing textures. There we go. All right. So definitely more complicated. I don't know what I have my render settings for in this at the moment. So yeah, this is probably too high. I probably need to optimize my lights. But we can do 256 and yeah, adaptive is okay. Check my lights. I bet they're low. Yeah, so my lights are really low on this scene. So if I go up to, I bet 256 here and 256 here, and I go back in here and drop this down to 64, I bet it'll get similar results or better. Yeah, it's already going blazing faster. So that was what, 11 seconds? Who was asking? I think Chris, you were asking. So this is more complicated. I've got depth of field on here and some bokeh in the background and all this stuff going on, and it's rendering again. I think it's okay. So 12 seconds. Let me go full screen just so we can see how much noise we're actually getting. It's gonna have to re-render it. It's doing its point cloud cache. Doot. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to do a little bit more optimization because I've gotten better at it since this tutorial came out. There's a lot of detail in here. You can see from the bump map and everything. So let's see. Yeah, the background, it like blazes through. The body, it's going. So we've even got like a little bit of depth of field in here. I've mostly focused right on here. You can see like in the chin a little bit, get a little blur. In the body and the shoulders, we're getting some blur. Just have some really high depth of field, but noise-wise, I could probably do a little bit more to not have the bokeh so grainy. But yeah, so all this is depth of field in here. It gets a little grainy where there's depth of field. I would just need some more sampling for that, but yeah, I know. Okay, Kaylin, I'll look at it in a little bit. Okay, honey.
Okay.
You want me to hang on to it? Okay. Oh. Did you print this?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one.
Okay, I'll read it in a minute. Yeah, I guess general settings, is that sheet, whatever's been floating around for a while. I usually will set it at like 16 and 128 or 256. And then I'm not even sure my global, so like my global illumination, I probably can up my screen radius, so that's a little bit faster. This can probably come down to like 64, doesn't need to be that high. And then I'll just recalculate really quickly. So of course at this smaller size, it's going to be faster because it's doing adaptive scaling. The full size is going to be slower than this, but so at this size, it's 17 seconds. That's not bad at all. So I'd probably say it's going to be a minute to a minute and a half, maybe, render. So yeah, but you know, going back to custom AOVs, I could probably save some time if we actually had some like object passes and could, you know, kill back some of our sampling and then throw it in like a denoiser afterwards. But that's just not happening at the moment. But we'll get there. All right. What time is it? It is 3:25. How long have I been streaming? I have been streaming almost an hour and a half. Whoa. All right. Well, thank you everyone that's joined. Thomas, if you have any more issues, man, just shoot me an email. I'm pretty good at responding and opening files. You know, sometimes I get sidetracked with freelance work and stuff, but definitely hit me up if you have any more problems and you just find that your render times are astronomical and all that. Everyone else, thanks so much for joining. I know this was kind of just random. I'm going to go live right now and nothing announced. I just wanted to play with the AOVs and see what we could get done. So I guess Tuesday you should probably expect a new tutorial, maybe. I have to talk to the Brograph guys about it and see what they're up to because they're in Canada right now, so it may be another week or so, but probably next Thursday we'll be back on schedule for normal streaming and all that. But yeah, definitely follow on here. You can follow me on Twitter through 531. If you just do a random search on Google for 531, then you can definitely find me. All right, guys, have a great weekend. And if you're celebrating any of the holidays going on right now, have an awesome holiday. See you guys.